Hey friends, in today's video, I'm going to be tackling a small section of my garage, keeping it realistic so I don't overwhelm myself. Then I'll also be sharing a delicious homemade granola recipe and finishing it all off by transforming my front porch into a cozy space that I actually want to be in and enjoy. So let's get started. I've shared a lot of cleaning videos over the last few weeks and I've kept it real with you guys. I've shown you the real mess, but to be very honest with you, this is a space that I think I've been the most embarrassed about to share with you. I have been avoiding it like the plague, as they say, but it's also something that's really been weighing on me, so I am looking forward to getting it done. And like I said in the intro, I am going to be focusing on just one section of this garage for this video. And I'm doing that very intentionally because since I've been creating this type of content, I've noticed that we tend to really put more on ourselves than we really need to. And not only do we pay for it, but our families definitely pay for it as well. And that's because when we have such unrealistic expectations, and not really give ourselves enough time to do everything we set out to do, we leave ourselves completely drained, just depleted of all energy, which leaves us with nothing left to pour into our families. So from this point on, I've decided to be realistic with the amount that I set out to do and the amount of time that I give myself to do it. I just very recently realized the amount of pressure I have been putting on myself trying to complete all of my visions and goals for my home. But because of the pressure I was putting on myself, I felt so rushed, like I had to hurry up and get it done. But then I asked myself, what's the hurry? Yeah, I'm excited to do it. I'm excited about all the things that I want to do, and I know that kind of adds to the pressure I feel. But really, what's the hurry? I don't need to impress anyone, and all the visions that I have for my house are not things that I have to get done right away. So if you can relate and have that kind of pressure, I want to encourage you to go ahead and ask yourself that same question. What's the hurry? So I guess now, instead of trying to rush to complete all the projects I want to complete, I'm going to learn to just enjoy the process. For my garage, I'm going to be using the same strategy that I use inside my house, which is to clean from left to right, top to bottom, also in phases. So inside my home, phase 1 is just throwing away all the trash. Phase 2 is doing a quick tidy, basically putting everything back where it goes. And then phase 3 is the actual cleaning. But for my garage, I'm going to do it very similarly, but my phases will look a little bit different. So for phase 1, it is just going through the area I'm focusing on and getting rid of all the trash. I'm also going to separate everything, what's staying, what's going. But because my garage is so unorganized, instead of putting things back where they go, I'm going to try to find a place for them. And the last phase is going to be cleaning, which is basically getting rid of all the cobwebs and doing a thorough sweep. When I came across items that I didn't really have a place for quite yet because I knew I would be tackling that on a different day, I'm just deciding to put them in a general area. And if there's small items that I found, I just put them all in a bag. I didn't worry about sorting through them. I knew the general area that I'm going to be putting them, so I just went ahead and bagged them up and put them over there. Also, I mentioned earlier that my garage is definitely the space that I've been most embarrassed about, which made me curious. What area of your home are you most embarrassed about? Or if you're further along in your homemaking journey, what area took you the longest to get organized? I would really love to hear your stories down in the comments. make sure to stick around till the end of this video, because after the garage, I'm also going to be sharing a new homemade granola recipe that I tried that I really like. And I'm going to be transforming my front porch from an empty, lifeless space into a warm, welcoming area that I actually want to spend time in. So make sure to stick around till the end. This is actually one of the coolest things I think we have in our garage, because this is a woodworking bench that my husband made himself. I am so proud of how well this turned out, and so proud of him for just diving in and making something for himself that he wanted. And I think it turned out really well. But something else that I was really happy about was that when I pulled this workbench out, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be full of cobwebs, spiders, and a ton of dust, but to my surprise, it was not that bad, and it turned out to be a pretty quick and easy clean. But since I already had this workbench pulled out of the way, I realized that there is a decent gap between the wall and these white cabinets that you guys see. So since I already had the workbench pulled out, I wanted to take the opportunity and clean behind there, and the best solution that I came up with was just to go ahead and use my leaf blower, and it actually turned out pretty well. And while I already had everything on the floor and the battery in my leaf blower ready to go, I decided to go ahead and use that to dust off the saw that you see here along with the battery chargers. Because a lot like most things in my garage right now, there is a lot of dust covering it. And I'm so thankful that I have this leaf blower, because it really made this job a lot easier. Now, up until this point of the video, I would say that everything was going really smoothly, and then this happened. This is a, I don't know, 1,000-foot extension cord that my husband has, really high quality, and he loves this thing, but it is such a pain to roll up. And I know that there's a whole strategy and an easier way to do this, but I just didn't know how to really accomplish that off the top of my head, and I didn't want to take the time to stop and look it up, so I just did the best I could. And let me tell you, it was a struggle. And I know for you, it looks like it only took me a couple of seconds, but actually it took me a long time and more energy than I intended. But at least now it's done. When I started filming this video, my initial goal was just to tackle the area where the workbench is, but because everything went so well and so quickly, I still felt good enough to go ahead and move on to these cabinets. I will say that I did try to organize this garage before, so these cabinets are still relatively put together, but this middle one that you see here has definitely got a lot going on that I need to sort out. I did end up finding a lot of empty space in these cabinets that I was actually really happy about, but I also wasn't too quick to fill them up because I know there's still a lot of things that I need to have space for. So I was trying to keep that in mind as I was working through these cabinets. And when it came to this space in particular, not only was I sorting through the things that were going to stay and what was going to go, I'm also trying to categorize stuff. So we are multi-passionate people. So we have a lot of different things going on in this garage. Like for me, I like decorating, organizing. My husband likes woodworking. He's pretty mechanical, so he knows how to work on cars, work with wood, home repairs, things like that. He's kind of a jack of all trades. So I was really aiming to kind of categorize everything. Woodworking stuff in one area, car stuff, decor stuff, you get the picture. But since I am not tackling the entire garage this day and only really getting to a small section of it, I am keeping in mind that even though I am finding a space for all of these items, I do know that it's most likely not going to be the permanent space for these items because I still have so much stuff to go through. But that's okay. It's going to be a work in progress. So I do also want to give myself plenty of room to adjust in the future. Now, there are several pieces of decor that you see here that I don't really use anymore, but I'm not going to be too quick to throw them away because I can paint them or turn them into something else that I actually will end up enjoying again. So I'm going to go ahead and just save them all for future projects. There's also some fall decorations that I didn't use this last fall, but I'm not quite sure if I want to get rid of them yet either. So I'm just going to wait until fall comes up again this year and make my decision on whether or not to keep them then. As I'm playing back this footage and I'm finishing up these cabinets here, I can't help but to think how much I've shared with you and I've talked so far in this video. And it kind of made me stop and think, like, I would love to know more about you guys, the ones that are actually watching all of this. So I wanted to take just a second and say thank you to everyone that has been commenting on my recent videos. I have really enjoyed hearing from you all, hearing your feedback, compliments, encouragement, and even a couple of tips along the way. I cannot begin to tell you how much it means to me. But I'm really curious to learn more about you because I'm not trying to be just another content creator, but I would really like to build a community of Christ-centered homemakers. So if that's something you would like to be a part of, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, but also leave me a comment down below and feel free to introduce yourself in the comments and share any facts about yourself that you would like to share. And don't forget, here in just a couple of minutes, I'm getting ready to share with you that homemade recipe that I tried out that I absolutely love, which I actually got from another creator that I will have linked down in the description for you. But before we get to that, I have just one more cabinet that I wanted to get to before I called it a day, which ended up being a great cabinet to finish on because this is actually another space that I did a while back, which is still relatively put together. The only thing that I wanted to do was find a space for this battery charger. It's kind of bulky and it's a little bit older and really well worn, so I wanted to find a place inside of a cabinet to put it in, and this bottom section worked out really well. All I needed to do was just move this shelf up just a little bit to give it enough space for both the charger and the other tools that I had originally set on this shelf. And it ended up being just the right amount of space to allow everything to fit perfectly, and I was so happy that it did. Well, there you have it, guys. Just a few hours of work, and this section of the garage is looking so much better than it did before. And I am really glad that I'm approaching it this way by not trying to do it all in one day, just taking it piece by piece works out so much better. Let me know in the comments below how well you think I did on this section of the garage. Just keep in mind, this isn't necessarily the permanent spot for everything that you see. However, I will say that I am definitely going to keep that larger middle portion of the cabinets designated for all my decor stuff. I think it just works better for all of that stuff. But anyway, like I said, let me know what you think down below. I'm really excited to hear what you all have to say. But now it's time to move on to that recipe that I promised. Like I mentioned earlier, this recipe actually comes from another YouTuber that I follow, and her channel is called Hanna's Happy Home. She is a homemaker out in Arizona, and I love her channel. I love her aesthetic. I love the way she views homemaking. So make sure to check her out. I'll be sure to leave her channel linked down below as well, along with her website where you can find this recipe. I've actually been wanting to try this recipe for a long time, but have been a little intimidated to go ahead and get started on it. And I don't know why. This recipe was so easy to follow, and it ended up tasting amazing. And another little added bonus was that when you're making it, it just makes your whole house smell so good. It smells a lot like an apple crumble that you would put on an apple pie. Oh, it's so good. However, I did want to mention that I didn't follow her recipe exactly. Her recipe calls for coconut oil, and I didn't have any on hand this day. So I went ahead and swapped it out for avocado oil because I know it doesn't have much of a taste to it. I also adjusted the amount of oil I used because I was using a different oil. So instead of the full cup, I only used about 3/4 cup. And I also added an extra ingredient. I went ahead and added some ground flaxseed. So there's a good amount of nutrients found in flaxseed, and I already had some on hand, so I figured I might as well just throw it in and get some extra protein. I ended up using about 4 tablespoons. When I try any new recipe, I do really like to follow it exactly. That way I know how it's supposed to taste, and I have kind of a baseline to go off of before I make any changes and make it my own. But because I didn't have all the exact ingredients anyway, I went ahead and just did my own thing. And honestly, it turned out really, really well. But let me know down below if you've ever made homemade granola before and how it works for you. And even if you have any suggestions on, things I could try to add into my granola moving forward. Okay, this is the final result, and you guys, it turned out so good. Because I used about 8 cups of oats, I did have to bake this in 3 separate batches. You really want to make sure to spread it out nice and thin so it bakes evenly and gets that perfect crunch. But it was absolutely worth it. The texture is so good, perfectly crispy and not too hard. I've actually been having it with yogurt and fresh fruit in the morning, which is probably my favorite way, but it's also really good just as cereal with some milk poured over. And I'm not even kidding. I actually tried it on top of a little vanilla ice cream, and it was such a good little treat. I seriously cannot recommend this recipe enough. And if you end up trying it, or even if you already make something similar at home, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you think or how you like to serve yours. Okay, so this is the next morning, and after I got ready and did my morning routine, I headed out to make a quick stop at Ross. And you guys, they had so many good things this time. I was honestly a little overwhelmed in the best way. They had a ton of really beautiful, high quality pots. They were super aesthetic and they had all different styles and shapes. I really had a hard time staying focused on what I actually needed for the space that I was focusing on so that I didn't go overboard. They also had a good selection of faux trees this time. I don't often see that many faux trees there that I actually like, so I definitely spent a bit of time looking through those. And then I came across the cutest ceramic piece. It was this wide open vase filled with lemons. I was so tempted to get it, but I just couldn't figure out where I would put it. And I already have quite a bit of lemon decor, so I try to be good, but honestly, I still kind of wish I grabbed it. After Ross, I stopped by the Dollar Tree to grab a few more things, and between those two stores, I feel like I found some really great pieces. From the Dollar Tree, I picked up 2 larger pool noodles, a golden lantern, a candle, and some black pebbles to kind of weigh that lantern down so it doesn't get blown over with the wind. I also grabbed a similar candle that ties everything together really nicely. From Ross, I found a couple of mats for the front door, along with 3 pots that I absolutely love, a faux tree, and a wooden stand pot to place it in. And all the extra items that you see are just some items that I picked up from the Dollar Tree that aren't necessarily for this space. I just didn't want to pass them up while I was there. Now it's time to get to decorating. But before I can get started, I wanted to give my front porch a quick refresh while it's still nice and empty. Going into this project, I knew relatively what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted something with a fair amount of height on the left side because I do have something that draws your eye up on the right side of the door, which is my black porch light. So I thought if I got something with a good amount of height on the left side, it would kind of give it some balance. And since I already had the height on the right side, I knew I basically wanted some kind of cluster of plants. So that's what I was going for before I went shopping for all of this, and now it's just time to put it together. Now, even though I did do some planning ahead of time and I had a good idea of what I wanted, I still needed to experiment with the layout a little bit just to make sure this is, exactly what I want. While I was doing this, I remembered that I also have this plant that I have outside as well, and I wanted to see if maybe I could tie it in. So I tried a few formats, and you guys are gonna have to let me know down below which one you think is the best. Option 1, option 2, or option 3. So be sure to stick around until the end of the video to see which option I chose. I've been seeing this trick all over social media for the longest time, and it's something that I've really been wanting to try out, and I'm so glad I was finally able to do so for this video. But something I think I did a little bit differently was to cut one of the pool noodles in half vertically. I just wanted to make sure they fit as snug as possible just to provide some extra stability for the arrangement that I was doing. Also, as I was arranging these stems in the pots, all I was really going for was to make it look as full as possible with the amount that I had, because I knew I was going to go back in and cover the pool noodles with this foam moss that I actually already had on hand that I bought from Walmart a while back. And just a little tip, if you're working with faux stems, I definitely recommend getting some wire cutters to cut off all the little individual branches, I guess you could call them. It is way better than trying to bend them rapidly until they break off, or to use scissors. Having the proper tool will always save you a lot of time. Also, another tip that I learned from this project today is that when you're shopping for stems from the dollar store, you may not be able to find the amount of a particular stem that you need, but as long as it's close enough, I feel like you can still make it work. Like, for example, these leaves are not identical, but it was really what I was wanting for this particular pot. So I just felt like as long as they were similar enough, maybe the print on them wasn't identical, but the shape and the size were the same, I felt like I can make it work. And because I separated each individual stem, I was able to mix them up really well so that they blend really nicely and you really can't tell. When it came to arranging all the stems in this particular pot, I did go about it slightly differently because it was so much bigger. Right here you see me doing kind of like a dry fit. I'm just putting them in there just to get an idea of how well they'll look if I just kind of leave them together as a whole stem, and it actually worked out pretty well. I did just need to fluff them out a little bit, but it definitely saved me a lot of time not having to cut off each individual stem. And just a side note, when it comes to fluffing out your stems, I wouldn't apply too much pressure. I know it looks like I might be, giving it a fair amount of pressure, but I'm just lightly pinching them as I go up the stem because I don't want a harsh 90-degree bend in these stems. I just want a natural curve. But overall, I think this turned out so great. It was nice and airy, but still relatively full, and you guys are gonna see that once I put on the moss, it takes it to a whole nother level. Now that I got all my faux greenery arranged and ready to go, it's time to head back outside and get everything put together. So here's what it looked like before, really just sad and empty, and now look at this transformation. You guys, I am so happy with this space. Like, I'm not kidding, this is an area I actually want to be in. Like, every time I have to go out to take my dog, I get excited because I get to see this beautiful space. It makes me want to be outside even more. But don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Let me know if you agreed with the choice that I went with, or if there's anything that you would do differently, or how well you like what I did with the space. I really would love to know what you guys think about how I did today. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye.